Hey, my friends! Welcome to our channel, 3 English, where we delve into idioms, slang, and phrasal verbs. In today's episode, we're going to explore idioms about friendship. We'll be learning some fun and important idioms that can help us describe and talk about our friendships. So, let's dive right in. Our first idiom is 2 peas in a pod. Have you ever seen those little peas in a pod? They all look so similar, don't they? When we say 2 people are 2 peas in a pod, it means they are very alike, often in appearance, behavior, or interests. This phrase suggests a strong resemblance or close affinity between the individuals, almost as if they were identical. Let's see some examples.
2 peas in a pod.
Apparently, we're just 2 peas in a pod.
2 peas in a pod.
2 peas in a pod.
To be on the same wavelength. These are some waves sharing the same wavelength. But don't worry, we won't delve into science here. This phrase is commonly used to describe a situation where 2 or more people share similar thoughts, ideas, or understanding about a particular topic or situation, indicating that they are on the same wavelength. Time to see some examples.
My mistake then. I thought we were on the same wavelength.
Evelyn and I are just on the same wavelength.
We just are on the same wavelength.
Always.
Want to believe that you're on the same wavelength as someone, and then it's just...
Moving on to birds of a feather flock together. The expression, birds of a feather flock together, means that people with similar characteristics, interests, or backgrounds tend to associate with one another. The origin of this phrase is rooted in observations of bird behavior. In nature, birds of the same species often congregate together in flocks. Imagine a group of students sitting together at lunch, all wearing band t-shirts and discussing their favorite music genres. Examples.
Hello.
Birds of a feather flock together.
It's birds of a feather flock together.
Birds of a feather flock together.
Where birds of all feathers flock together.
Next up, go back a long way. The phrase to go back a long way means that a relationship, connection, or history between 2 or more people, groups, or entities has existed for a significant amount of time. It implies that the individuals involved have known each other or have been connected in some manner for an extended period, often years or even decades. For example, you might say, John and I go back a long way. We've been friends since childhood, indicating that John and the speaker have known each other for many years.
Our families go back a long way.
We go back a long way, Tom.
Go back a long way.
We go back a long way, Chris.
To be joined at the hip. This idiomatic expression is used to describe 2 people who are very closely connected or inseparable from each other. The phrase joined at the hip likely comes from the idea of our hip joint. This joint is super strong and lets our legs move in all sorts of ways. In the same way, when we say 2 people are joined at the hip, we mean they're super close, practically inseparable, just like a hip and its leg.
I remember the 2 of you joined at the hip.
Oh, they're literally joined at the hip?
Arizona and Herman were practically joined at the hip. Arizona and Herman were practically joined at the hip.
As thick as thieves. The phrase as thick as thieves is used to describe a close and intimate relationship between 2 or more people. The phrase likely originates from the association of thieves who collaborate closely in carrying out illegal activities, such as thefts or robberies. The bond between such individuals would be exceptionally strong due to the nature of their activities and the need for mutual trust and cooperation. Over time, the expression as thick as thieves has evolved to be used more broadly to describe any close relationship, not necessarily involving criminal activity. It emphasizes the depth of friendship and the level of trust and loyalty shared between the individuals involved.
You 2 seemed as thick as thieves.
Look at you 2, thick as thieves.
Those 2 as thick as thieves.
But they're thick as thieves.
And the last one for today is to bury the hatchet. The expression to bury the hatchet means to make peace, reconcile, or resolve a conflict. It implies that 2 parties who were previously in disagreement or conflict have decided to put aside their differences and move forward amicably. The origin of the phrase to bury the hatchet can be traced back to a Native American tradition. Among some Native American tribes, it was customary to bury a hatchet or tomahawk as a symbolic gesture of peace. This act signified the end of hostilities and the beginning of peaceful relations. Therefore, this symbolic act became the figurative language used to describe any situation where former adversaries decide to resolve their differences and establish peace or harmony between them.
She wanted me to bury the hatchet.
Bury the hatchet.
Go back over, talk to the man, and bury the hatchet.
How about a picture? Shake hands. Bury the hatchet.
All right, everyone, that was all for today's episode. We've learned some interesting idioms related to friendship. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up. Until next time, take care.